I'm Jorge Rivas. I'm the multimedia editor and pop culture blogger at ColorLines.com. Joining me today for a quick conversation is Stephanie Sheeley. She's a treasurer at STARS at Ohio University. STARS is the Students Teaching About Racism in Society. Thank you for joining us, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me.
So your campaign has been a huge success. It's been shared over 3,000 times on colorlines.com. It's been on CNN. It's been on the Washington Post. Last time we talked, you were set to distribute about 600 posters across campus. Can you tell me about how that went down?
We actually just got them all passed out and printed last night. It's been good. We haven't really had much of a negative response on our campus. I mean, there's been some people who, we could expect maybe not like the posters or anything like that. But it's been pretty good on our campus. To be perfectly honest, I feel like it's pretty big all over the internet and on other campuses more than it is known on our campus about what is actually going on.
So there's been some pushback on, I've read in our comments, and there's even been some other people who have created their own campaigns to mock the wear culture, not a costume campaign. And one of them, there's actually a vampire.
Okay.
Let me pull that up. There's actually a vampire holding a picture that you use in your campaign. Have you seen that one?
I don't know if I've seen that particular one, but I've seen a few of them. I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what you think about that and what you would tell them and that making light of the situation.
There's nothing wrong, honestly, with making. I mean, we could expect that someone's going to make fun of our campaign. Someone's not going to enjoy it. Someone's going to hate it. Someone's going to think it's funny. Someone's going to think it's not a big deal. Someone's going to love it. So we expected all of that. But I think making light of the situation, it's not that big of a deal if you understand why we're doing it in the first place. So I think for people to not understand why we're doing it and to make little memes that are rude and all over again offensive. I saw one that was pretty offensive. It was a man in a gorilla suit, and he took a picture. He took the picture of the African American female who was holding the picture of blackface and was holding her in a. So that was pretty offensive. But the ones that are like vampires, things like that, they're really not that big of a deal. I think some of them are funny. They're comical. I mean, it's okay to make light of the situation if you understand why we did it in the first place.
So there are people who say that there are some Mexicans that wear sombreros and mustaches, and that there's geishas in Japan. Why can't people dress up for like them for Halloween?
Actually, I mean, that's not the purpose of our campaign, is to say that you should never dress up as a geisha or whatever the costume may be. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to say that attempting to depict an entire culture or group of people can be offensive to somebody. Not all Japanese women are geishas. And as long as you know that, there's a difference. Like I said in I think another interview I did, there's a difference between being President Obama and being Snooki and being African American or being black or being Mexican. That's when you're trying to depict an entire group of people based on one costume, and you're exaggerating stereotypes that aren't necessarily true. And that's what we're saying.
All right, so you sort of hit this answer in the last question, but let me rephrase it. So how do you take the conversation about Halloween costumes and make it bigger than just the costume and just a group of people? So how have you gotten people to talk about how this matters to people of color?
That's a really good point. I think one of the angles or ways that people have gone at it, which is really interesting to me, is that not all that anybody can be offended by someone depicting them or their culture in a certain way. People have given examples of, well, what do you say about people who dress up as leprechauns? Are Irish Americans supposed to be offended, or Irish people of Irish descent is supposed to be offended? What do you say about people who dress up as barmaids? Or, is someone supposed to be offended by that? And I think one of the really awesome things that somebody wrote in an email response to us was, it's not just about, a certain culture. And as far as we're concerned, when we define racism in STARS, it's about power as well, and power plus privilege. So while someone might be depicting someone, the Irish culture by dressing as a leprechaun, or, the barmaid, like I said. Those aren't groups that have necessarily, at least in America, experienced this type of hatred and institutional racism that these other minority groups have experienced. And that's why we might feel like it's not, as detrimental to them for people to dress in these kinds of costumes. That's not to say that it can't be offensive, but it's just not the same.
So, for those who don't know what institutional racism is, can you say a little bit more about that?
Institutional racism is something that's like racism that's been built into the institutions that we use every single day, such as like prison systems, bank systems, things that are just like commonplace that people don't, that aren't exactly overt, but that have been a part of our culture for a really long time and just become normal. That's what institutional racism is.
All right, and the last question is, tell us what you're going to be for Halloween.
I feel really lame when this whole conversation has come about. I'm so not into Halloween, and I do not have a costume as of yet. Like, I will be whatever somebody hands me. If someone wants to throw me a costume and say, be this Stephanie, I'll be that.
Beautiful.
As long as it doesn't offend anyone.
Great. Thank you for joining us, Stephanie, and congratulations on your campaign, and we look forward to hearing what your next project is.
Thank you so much. It was fun.